Portland Trailblazers in Portland. The Blazers trying to get back at Seattle after losing in Seattle at the Kingdome Friday night, 126-109. Should be a beauty. The Northwest Battle Royale next. Sonics basketball is being brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light. There's nothing typical about it. Subaru, what to drive. Farmers Insurance. America depends on farmers and has for over 60 years. Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the real thing. Seafirst Bank, proud to be a sponsor of the Seattle SuperSonics. Alaska Airlines. Again and again, frequent travelers rate Alaska the best airline in the U.S. Safeway, nobody does it better. AT&T, a proud sponsor of the NBA and the Seattle SuperSonics. Jack in the Box, always something new. Washington State Lottery's Lotto game. What you do with the money is up to you. Jeep and Eagle, where you'll find the new Jeep Grand Cherokee and new Eagle Vision. And by GTE, proud to be a sponsor of the SuperSonics. It's time for basketball tonight from the Rose City in Portland, Oregon. The Seattle SuperSonics and the Portland Trailblazers. Both teams at 15-7, tied for second right now in the Pacific Division, 2 games behind the Phoenix Suns. Hello again, everybody. Kevin Calabro, along with Wally Walker. You've got 2 explosive teams playing tonight, but these teams are shorthanded, particularly the Seattle SuperSonics. They had a big sweep over the weekend. They beat the Blazers Friday night at the Kingdome. Saturday night, they followed at the Coliseum with a win over the Los Angeles Clippers. Sean Kemp led the way, 17 points, 15 rebounds, but he is out for tonight. He hyperextended his right knee with about 4.5 minutes to go in Saturday's game. Benoit Benjamin has been out for the last 2. He remains on the injured list, actually not formally on the injured list, but is back in Seattle for treatment with a sprained right ankle. Michael Cage will play tonight, but he has a strained left hamstring. And the Sonics have some nicks and bumps and bruises with some other players, but they will be playing tonight. And the Blazers have some people that are down as well. Jerome Kersey went on the injured list December the 4th. He's been out for 11 games now with tendonitis in the left knee. He had to quit halfway through practice yesterday. The pain was so intense. Clyde Drexler will play tonight, but still has soreness in the right knee as a result of off-season knee surgery. So these 2 teams will play. They will stroll out some interesting starting lineups, and Wally and I will be back to take a look at those lineups in a moment here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Calabro now joined by Wally Walker. Steve Scheffler will be starting at center tonight for the Seattle SuperSonics. Here's a guy that was waived, Wally, November 25th, shortly before Thanksgiving, re-signed December 5th. Now he starts in his first NBA game. Why does George do this to himself?
Well, it's a big break for Sheff. His first NBA start here. He's out shooting early, trying to shake those butterflies loose. He had a big net with him. I think he needs him here tonight. I think George is going with him because he wants to bring Nate in off the bench. Nate has a tendency to get in foul trouble. He cannot afford, with being shorthanded, for Nate to get early fouls.
And you can put Nate in against Strickland if he starts to get it going, or Cliff Robinson. He's been very hot lately, averaging 19 points per ball game. Let's say now the Blazers come out big with Buck Williams and Kevin Duckworth, and they try to post the Sonics. Is that an equation that works for Portland?
I think it works much better for the SuperSonics. Duckworth is more of a perimeter shooter. Buck Williams not really much of an offensive threat at all. They try to take advantage of those guys by posting them down low. Sonics should take a chance to play behind them, let them catch the ball, let them take themselves out of the offense and shoot over the players.
Certainly would play to the Sonics' advantage. That's not in Portland's makeup, really, to play big with those guys, the scoring focus. Instead, the focus obviously will come from Porter, Drexler, Strickland, bring Mario Ellie off the bench possibly, and Cliff Robinson. Now they've got a small lineup that has gangbusters, but really no bench to help out.
No, you can bring off guys like Bryant and Buck Williams in off the bench who are not good offensive threats. So I think that's very much the Sonics' advantage if they try to go to that lineup.
Certainly possessions tonight for Seattle will be at a premium. You can't turn the ball over, and you can't expect to out-rebound the Blazers as Seattle did Friday at the Kingdome.
No, Seattle just laid a whipping on them Friday night in the Kingdome, out-rebounds the Blazers by 23. Rick Adelman, I'm sure, was all over his club about that. They will attack the boards much harder here tonight. Payback
time possibly for the Portland Trailblazers. For Seattle, they're loose. They're going to let it fly tonight and run. We're
going to have a heck of a ball game. 2 of the best clubs in the NBA from the Pacific Northwest.
And we'll be back to get it on. The introduction and the lineups here in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. The Seattle SuperSonics in Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon tonight, where the Blazers have beaten Seattle 7 straight and 13 of the last 15. The last Sonic win here, February of '89, and the Sonics will be shorthanded tonight without Sean Kemp. So it is time now to take a look at the Subaru starting lineup, brought to you by Subaru, what to drive. Gary Payton and Rod Strickland starting at the point guards tonight. The off-guard spot will be occupied by Ricky Pierce and Terry Porter. In the middle tonight, Kevin Duckworth and Steve Scheffler will square off, while at the forward spot, Michael Cage and Buck Williams will battle for the rebounds. And at the off position, the small forward, Clyde Drexler and Derek McKee will match up. Rick Adelman, now in his 4th year with a record of 208 up, 95 down, assisted by Jack Shallow and John Wetzel. The Seattle SuperSonics are coached by George Karl. They were 27-15 under George Karl last year. They are 15-7 now under George and tied for second in the Pacific Division with the Blazers. And behind Portland now 2.5 games, or actually behind Phoenix by 2.5 games for first in the Pacific Division, as Phoenix just now has defeated the Golden State Warriors narrowly for their 10th straight home victory at the America West Arena. There is Steve Scheffler. Scheffler has played for 3 basketball franchises, 50 NBA games. In the last 3 years, will be getting his first start as a professional. And he was out here about 4 o'clock this afternoon, Wally, warming up.
He put up at least 20,000 jumpers before this ball game.
No exaggeration. He got here, about 4:45 o'clock with Tim Gergevich, one of the assistant Seattle SuperSonics coaches, and has been working out, breaking a sweat, stood at midcourt while the Blazers came out and warmed up, and is trying to put together a mental notebook. The writers asked him yesterday at practice, Chef, what will you try to achieve in your first start at Portland? He says, I just don't want to screw up, he said. I don't want to turn the ball over. I want to emotionally be in the ball game and be very physical and try to disrupt things inside. It's something he's very good at in practice.
Well, it's going to be a physical ball game. It's important for him to establish himself and just use his body to shield off the Portland players, because I think they're going to be fired up and just flying at the rim.
The officials tonight are Jim Kenzie, Mike Mathis, and Eddie Middleton, along with Wally Walker. I'm Kevin Calabro. We are set to go here in Portland, Oregon. The Sonics beat them on Friday night, 126-109. The all-time series, 64-62. Portland leading in that series, but they have outdone the Sonics 44-19 here in Portland. The tap is won by the Warriors and Terry Porter. Halftime lead by 10, 54-42, or I should say 54-44. The second quarter belonged to Derek McKee in Seattle.
What a sensational effort by Derek McKee. Everyone did their job, but that guy is the star of stars.
11 of his 14 were scored in the second period. 4 of his rebounds were garnered in the second quarter, 3 on the offensive end. At half, Sonics by 10 miraculously here in Portland. Back in a moment on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Trailblazers 54-44 behind the first half heroics of Derek McKee. 14 points, 5 rebounds. Before the game tonight, Wally told us that he didn't know who it was going to be, but somebody was going to step up and have the big game, and certainly McKee had a huge first half. Right now, let's take a look at our GTE Power Play, brought to you by GTE, where the power's on. Wally coaches through it. What happened?
Well, we see the jumper, and we see number 31. He's going to be there. Head fake, left hand. Everyone's expecting him to go to his right hand. He just powers it in with a nice, that's a good play. We're going to see it again from a different angle.
It was so good.
So good. Right there, head fake. Look at Robinson overplaying that right hand. Whammo. Face.
Our GTE Power Play, indeed. At half, Sonics by 10 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Sonics by 10 at half, 54-44. Now let's take a look at the first half highlights brought to you by Seattle Lighting, the choice for quality home lighting products. Sonics haven't hurt themselves with turnovers, and they've held their own on the glass tonight.
Those are 2 key areas we talked about a few minutes ago. If they can hold their own, they don't have to dominate those areas. They hold their own. They're a better shooting club. They have a great chance to win this ball game.
Let's now review some of the action there in the first half of play.
Derek
Defense
McKee
was certainly
did it.
superb.
Yes, the Sonics did a good job right here. You're going to break out, show it, take it back. Clyde, where are you looking? He did it all. That man, Derek McKee, we have a lot of highlights from that man.
He was the man on the spot. There's no question about that. The Sonics only turned the ball over themselves 9 times for 6 Blazer points, and the Sonics got 7 points off of 9 Blazer turnovers, and Seattle was busy on the glass with Heavy D shouldering much of the burden. He had 5 boards, but let's not forget Michael Cage, who had 7 rebounds for the game.
Michael dominated the boards early, and Derek did a great job in the offensive glass in that second quarter.
Defense, the name of the game in this first half, as we now will see on this series of pictures from this first half of play, which the Sonics lead at 10 at intermission.
McKee only gets credit with 2 steals of the first half. as well as one block shot, but he's all over the place. The good quick hands right here, going out to play against the bigger player, Duckworth. Uses great hands, breaking loose. Great hustle by Eddie.
Great anticipation, maybe the quickest guy for his size in the NBA defensively. Now let's watch a big three-pointer by Eddie Johnson.
Right there, double team. You can see the two guys come over. Drexler comes over to get in the lane. Skip pass over the top, finds the open man. Bango.
Find that weak side shooter and let him go. You got Eddie Johnson or Pierce or McKee standing out there. That might be the thing that works best in the second half when we come back. The Sonics 54, Blazers 44 on our Seattle Lighting highlights here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network. Sonics basketball is being brought to you in part by Ernst & Dutch Boy, teaming up to keep you in the paint. Always the right price, always. Les Schwab, their business is earning your trust. Your Northwest Dodge dealer. See all that's new from the new Dodge. Valley's Pac West with 8 locations in the Puget Sound area. Old Spice, cool, crisp, and clean as puts wind in your sails. Seattle Lighting, the Northwest choice for quality home lighting products. Volkswagen, experience Farfignuken at your local Puget Sound Volkswagen dealer. Target, right on the money. And by U.S. West Cellular, making the most of your time. 54-44, the Sonics in the driver's seat here at halftime without Sean Kemp, without Benoit Benjamin. Rich King, of course, has been on the injured list for some time. Sonics without their big men leading the Blazers here at halftime. Before we start the third quarter, let's take a look at the in the paint stats brought to you by Dutch Boy for the look that lasts. Total boards, Sonics lead in rebounding. Unbelievable.
The Blazers have the 12 offensive boards. I think they got a lot of those in about 2 different series when they had 4 or 5 shots. The Sonics with the lead now, they really need to tighten up and continue to dominate the defensive glass. 7 from Cage, 5 from McKee, and 4 off the bench from Nate McMillan. Blazers have had their opportunities on the offensive glass, but have not cashed in. And block shots, well, McKee had the 1 block, and the Sonics turned that into a deuce. That's our Dutch Boy in the paint stats. Our halftime stats look like this on our Schick halftime board. 22-43, Sonics 51%. Blazers 19 of 50, 38%, including Clyde the Glide, 3 of 9, and Robinson 3 of 9 shooting in the first half. Free throws, 9 of 11, Seattle 82%. Blazers 5 of 8, 63%. Sonics have 12 assists, the Blazers 11 turnovers, 9 Blazer turnovers for 7 Sonic points, 8 Sonic turnovers for 6 Blazer points. The individual scoring for the Sonics, Derek McKee leading the way with 14 on 5 of 7 shooting from the field. He is 4 of 5 from the free throw line as well. Gary Payton has popped in 8 points. Payton shooting well at 4 for 7 in his 19-minute first half. Eddie Johnson has come up with 7 points on 3 for 7 shooting in 11 minutes. And Pierce and Barrows each with a half dozen. Dana came in there with a quick 8-minute stint in the second quarter and went 3 for 5. The Portland Trailblazers, led by Terry Porter. Porter 5 of 10 in the first half. Robinson, as we mentioned, has struggled. So is Drexler. They have 8 apiece. And Strickland with 7. Strickland played 20 minutes in the first half, was 3 for 8 in that first half of play. So there are the numbers of the first half, probably as well played as the Sonics could get it, Wally. In fact, Seattle's bench outscored Portland's bench 19-15. The Sonics bench went 9 of 17 from the field, and the Blazers bench went 6 of 15. So everything right now clicking for the Seattle SuperSonics. And, you know, maybe we in the media make so much of Sean Kemp's absence. This is a pretty doggone good basketball team without Sean Kemp. Yeah, and what's fun to see is a guy like Vince Nasky, who hasn't played many minutes lately, coming in doing a good job in short minutes, hustling on defense and getting a hoop. Here's an interesting number. The Portland lead, the last lead of the first half, was at 39-38. Then the Sonics closed the first half on a 16-5 run in the last 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Sean Kemp averaging 19 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per ball game. And the stats, well, we'll see. 12-0, Seattle went ahead or tied at halftime. 13-1 went ahead or tied after 3 quarters of play. Interesting. And the Blazers, keep in mind, are 10-1 when holding the opposition under 100. We mentioned in the second quarter it looked like George wanted to slow the tempo, but even with the slower tempo, 54 points at half, it looks like you're bound unless the wheels fall off for a plus 100 game tonight. We'll be right back with the happy numbers in a moment. The final, Seattle 107, the Blazers 96 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
An extraordinary game played by the shorthanded Seattle SuperSonics as they beat the Blazers 107-96. The Sonics had lost 7 straight to the Blazers down here, hadn't won since February of '89. They're now 2-0 against the Blazers, and a shocking disruption in the Pacific Division tonight. we witnessed here tonight, Wally.
Great character check by the Sonics.
Oh, man.
The Blazers came out. They were got thumped by the Sonics Friday night. You knew they were going to come with it. They were a little lethargic, and the Sonics responded when the Blazers made their run.
Derek McKee was sensational, 26 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Michael Cage, likewise, 11 points, 17 rebounds tonight. Peyton, 17, EJ, 15, Pierce, 12. It was a total effort by everyone.
Well, you didn't mention Scheffler, and ask you, everyone who played did a nice job. They did what they had to do when they were in the ball game.
Well, tomorrow, more action coming from the Forum in Los Angeles when the Sonics take on the Lakers. 7:30 start time on Channel 7 and on Radio Lines. For Wally Walker, I'm Kevin Calabro. The final again, the Sonics over the Blazers, 107-96 on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
Michael, you're playing in Portland. You're without Sean Kemp, and you come away with a victory.
Right. It's probably, obviously one of those type of games where, anything can happen, and we believe in ourselves before the game. Without Sean, I've been nursing a pulled hamstring, and so I was a little bit around 70%, but all the forces came together for us. I mean, we had every guy playing. Scheffler started center. He got a couple of early basket fours, and those were momentum plays for us as well.
Well, if you're at 70%, you had 17 rebounds. Do you feel like you had to attack the boards even more than you usually do?
Well, I think if I psychologically stay at this 70%, maybe it'll keep me around at 17, 18. But I knew I had to take up the slack. I mean, obviously, Sean is an awesome rebounder, and we rely on him a lot for scoring and rebounding. So, I knew I had to go in and establish our rebounding game right away.
On the monitor, we have a look at you rebounding. Well, we don't right now. But you did a great job on the offensive. Well, we're going to go to the clip right now.
Well, George wanted me to be more assertive, he said, offensively. So when I got the ball in the box, if there was a little man on me, I took the shot. And a lot of times I ran across the lane, doing one steps and finding the open guy, which is kind of becoming a common thing for me to break through the lane and a catch and shoot type of play. A lot of times, I'm following the flight of the ball at all times. If I can't get it, I'm going to stay with it. And a lot of times, if you give that extra effort, you'll come up with the ball.
You guys just looked a little quicker than the Blazers tonight. Loose balls, you got your hands on them and broke them loose and won most of those battles.
Right, we did, and we had a big momentum play that you just saw in which Buck Williams had gotten a rebound, and I just took it from him out of his hand and put it right in and put up the lead around 17, 18 points. Scheffler got his hand on a lot of passes. Mack was, Nate McMillan was being himself. I mean, I thought it was a great Sonic win. I mean, from Eddie Johnson to Ricky Pierce to Dana Barros, everyone gave their total effort, that came into the game tonight. Over 9 years, you've had many great and tough battles with Buck Williams, yet he was hardly a factor. We never mentioned him much at all tonight. Very uncharacteristic of the type of game, for Buck he had tonight, but, obviously it happens, and I'm glad it happened, against us tonight, because this is probably the biggest win in our last, 2 years, especially coming in here. We've had a lot of failures coming up. We played some good games and played them tough, but tonight we sustained. I thought we did a typical game of what happened Friday night. We kept the lead. They kept running at us, but the guys stuck together and we pulled it out. Tonight in this ball game, we saw some of the most entertaining and strangest plays we've seen all year. One by you was a jump shot from the corner. Kevin called it a Kismet shot. You describe it for us. I've practiced this shot. Notice how I released the shot, and I'm going to watch it hit the side of the basket. And it's going to go in. And they counted that. That's my Christmas present to myself. They did it. Kevin Calabro called that Kismet. You can ask him to explain it later. We still don't understand. There was another play in the second half where you ended up getting 4 rebounds. Every shot was worse than the one before it. We're going to get a look at it. But then you ended up with a funky tip that went. Right. It's persistency. A lot of times I stayed with it. I felt the contact. I still stayed right in the lane. I got good position underneath. I followed the ball, tipped it, got it in, missed it, and and then I tipped it before Drexler got his hand on it. And I thought those type of plays we had from several players tonight. And if you notice, they're what George described and what we call as a team momentum plays. I mean, the crowd. Shortly after they're calling timeout, the crowd is getting, deflated, and there were some big plays for us. Mike, you did a terrific job. Thanks for joining us. All right, thank you, Walker. We'll be right back on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.
Sonics win it tonight over the Blazers, 107-96. The Sonics 16 up, 7 down, 9 over the 500 mark, and that is the high mark for the year for the Sonics. They leapfrogged Portland into second place, 2 games behind the Phoenix Suns, who narrowly at home extended their winning streak to 10 with a win over the Golden State Warriors. Huge win. Let's take a look at the game summary statistics. Wally, break it down for us, will you?
Well, the Sonics did a good job holding their own on the boards. You can right there see the numbers are very close. Also, turnovers were close. The Sonics are a better shooting club. Portland got more attempts, but particularly when the clock was winding down, the Sonics hit the shots they had to shoot, particularly when time was critical.
On the field goal percentage, 39 of 75, 52% for the Sonics. Blazers 38 of 94, 40%. Sonics were the more aggressive team going to the glass, and as a result got 34 attempts, hit 27 for 79%. Blazers 16 of 20. Assists 19 for Blazers, 16 for Seattle. Turnovers were the key, rebounding the key. We mentioned it. The Sonics can control themselves offensively, not turn the ball over, force a few turnovers, and hold their own on the glass. They have a chance to win. Sure enough, it was the equation that worked tonight.
They were the smarter ball club here tonight, Kevin, and you take 19 points and 10 rebounds. Sean Kemp out of the lineup, and other players come in and compensate and play within themselves. They didn't try to do more than they could do, but they just stepped it up a notch.
Well, the Sonics move on to take on the Los Angeles Lakers tomorrow, and we'll of course have the broadcast beginning on radio at 7 o'clock or so, with a tip at 7:30 down at the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles. The Lakers, I heard him called today, I think aptly so, an East Coast team in the West, because they play big, they play half court, they try to keep it around 100 points. They slow the tempo.
Well, showtime's become slow time in LA this year. The Sonics are capable of playing a half-court game. It would sure help have Sean Kemp back when it goes half-court.
Big win for the Sonics. We'll see if they have any adrenaline left tomorrow. Sean Kemp, as Wally said, very well could step his big feet out on that Great Western Forum floor. We'd love to see him back. There aren't too many games you win like this without Sean Kemp.
No, exactly right. And the Sonics will have to shoot well again and be selective as they were here tonight. The Lakers will, I think, we have a little tougher effort than the Blazers did.
Well, for Wally Walker, I'm Kevin Calabro, inviting you to stay tuned on radio. We'll, of course, have the wrap-up, chat with George Karl, and chat with you folks as well on KJR, and, of course, across our network lines around the Northwest on the Sonics Radio Network on TV until tomorrow night. For all of us here in Portland, again, the Sonics beat the Blazers. Yeah, it's true. 107-96 here on the Sonics Broadcasting Network.